Hello, and a very warm welcome to each one of you out there. It's absolutely a wonderful afternoon here in Chennai. It's calm, the storm has calmed down, and it was absolutely bright and sunny out here. This is Lakshmi Vijay Kumar, who is going to be your host today and giving a big hi to each one of you from the bright and sunny Chennai. Before we start the program, I would like to give you a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual conference experience. Please close all other applications on your computer if you have any of them opened. And more important, log out from your organization's VPN to conserve bandwidth, that is internet bandwidth. Before we move on, I would like to thank our partners. To begin with, I would like to thank our Innovation Catalyst partner, EPAM System, our supporting partners, Crizzle, Genesis, and Zuchi Systems. And my dear audience, do not forget that our social media hashtags are Diversity Mahotsav, that is hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Please do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with the hashtags. And please be informed that all our Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being live streamed on our YouTube channel. The QR code that you are seeing on your screen, please scan the QR code and that will land you to our YouTube channel. Like, share and subscribe. You will be able to watch all our Diversity Mahotsav episodes out there. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to participate in a small activity on the chat window. If you could just tell me using one word. First, what is your current state of mind? I hope the chat is enabled. I request my tech team to enable the chats for all the participants here at the webinar room. So I request each one of you to post your current state of mind. What is your current state of mind here in the chat box? Peaceful. Ah, lovely. Excited. Peaceful is a beautiful word. Excited. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let me tell you, my ecstatic. Thank you, Janani, for that. So my current state of mind is absolutely what Janani said, ecstatic, excited. I'm totally excited and thrilled at the moment. Now, talking about what is there in your mind, what does diversity mean to you in just one word? What does diversity mean to you? If you can use the chat window and tell me, what is diversity to you? Sorry. I hope the chat window is enabled for all. I request my tech team to ensure that the chat window is enabled for all. What does diversity mean to you? Well, unity despite differences. Thank you. And Utsav. What does Utsav mean? Celebration. So we are here. So Diversity Mahotsav, it's not just a festival. Festival, that's really nice. Thank you so much. Or was it festival? Thank you. So yes, Diversity Mahotsav, it's not just a festival, it's a Maha festival. It's a festival that we at Avatar celebrate through the end of the year, towards the end of the year, celebrating diversity, celebrating you, the incredible audience that is out there. So my dear esteemed guests, welcome to Diversity Mahotsav, which is in its 4th edition, where we spotlight, where the spotlight shines not only on diversity, equity and inclusion, but on the very essence of what it means to celebrate our human kaleidoscope. We gather here, as we gather, let's embrace the beautiful melody of diversity, where our differences are celebrated. Imagine a world where uniqueness is not a cause for division, but a tapestry that weaves all of us together, right? Creating a mosaic of perspectives, colors, sounds, and stories that everything put together define us. So let's begin the celebration with an extremely soulful rendition by an amazing artist who holds a Guinness Book of World Record for having played the saxophone for 17 hours continuously. My dear participants, presenting to you MS Subbalakshmi. Over to you.
Hi everyone, I am your saxophone Subbalakshmi. I am the Guinness World Record holder. Congratulations to Diversity Mahotsav 2024. Today I am going to perform Endaro Mahanubhavulu. It's a classical kirtana.
Welcome back, my dear audience. Thank you so much, Subbalakshmi. At Diversity Mahotsav, conversations will spark change and opportunities will redefine destinies. Today, as we gather as individuals with unique talents, aspirations, and experiences, but here is the truth: diversity isn't just a fact of life, it is the essence of innovation. And you, our incredible audience, are the architects of a more inclusive tomorrow. Diversity Mahotsav is about you, the audience. Whether you're here seeking inspiration, mentorship, or that one opportunity to launch your career, remember, your potential is limitless and your voice matters. We at Avatar Group are turning the voltage on diversity with its fourth edition of Diversity Mahotsav. It's a 15-day festival of sharing, learning, celebrating the uniqueness of every individual and carrying with us the promise of inclusion into the new year. Hosted on myavatar.com, which is the India's only diversity hiring portal. It's one of its kind initiative. We aim to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach with experiential sessions, success stories, skill building workshops, diversity Mahotsav is something that says one size doesn't fit for all and that there is a need for different levels of intervention. I once again welcome you all to the fourth edition of Diversity Mahotsav. On that note, I would like to now invite Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, founder president of Avatar, to deliver the inaugural address. Dr. Soundarya is among India's, no, not India's, actually global, the world's most prominent leaders in the space of women's workforce participation. Avatar, the social enterprise, which was founded by Dr. Soundarya, is India's only organization that provides both strategy and implementation solutions in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her work in creating careers for women in the Indian workplace is unparalleled, for which she is referred to as the career doctor. And her latest book, Conversations with the Career Doctor, which is there out there in the stands and is absolutely making waves in the industry. She is not only among the earliest and the most impactful voices to speak, write, and teach about gender inclusion. Dr. Soundarya has also helped hundreds of companies hire thousands of women professionals through the work at Avatar. She's a powerful speaker, author, and a very sought after DEI strategist. Dr. Soundarya's vision is to see young girls from underprivileged families to create empowering white collar careers for themselves. This she influences through Project Putri, and her journey towards creating inclusive and equitable workplaces is inspirational in helping organizations, communities, and societies to harness the true power of diversity. Before I welcome Dr. Soundarya on stage, we have Dr. Soundarya on stage. Thank you so much, Dr. Soundarya, for joining in. But before you speak, can we have a small AV about you? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Dr. Soundarya Rajesh to you. Over to you, Dr. Soundarya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, LV. And as always, it's an absolute pleasure listening to the passion in your voice as you speak about diversity Mahotsav and just diversity, which is a matter of great privilege for all of us to be working in the space of. And let me take this opportunity to welcome every one of you to this fourth successive edition of Diversity Mahotsav. Diversity Mahotsav was planned, in the month of December as a celebration of diversity. This month happens to be a very unique one with so many festivals celebrated by very many different communities, and also one which brings the famous music festival to Chennai. So when Chennai has the music festival, we thought, why not also have the diversity festival, the diversity Mahotsav, celebrated across the country, across the globe, as LV referred to that, as something that all of us, first of all, feel passionately about, and also as a simple reminder to all of us that there are some very simple things each one of us can do to make sure that our lives are fulfilled with the purpose of being inclusive and really welcoming every individual into our networks. So this is a 15-day celebration of diversity. Primarily, we are looking for people who are interested in this subject, in this topic, to be part of this festival. So if you know anyone, whether they are a student or a homemaker or a teacher or a parent or a professional or just about anybody who's interested in this topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, please invite them to be part of Diversity Mahotsav. This year is particularly special for us. We embarked on this journey, and the moment when I decided that we must start an organization like Avatar was a very impactful moment. That was a moment when I was sitting across the table with an interviewer who looked at my CV, found me suitable, completed the interview, and then discovered I had a career break of 3 years at that time, and said that he called the recruiter who had referred me and said, this is a CV that has to go into the dustbin. Why are you sending it to me? And then we decided at that moment that, Avatar will represent all those CVs, which typically the corporates at that point of time thought belonged in the dustbin. And today, after 24 years of that momentous occasion, when they thought that we would represent the underrepresented, we would represent those who are underprivileged from a corporate standpoint, we would represent every woman who has taken a break in career, we would represent the voices of every person with disability. And tomorrow, by the way, is the International Day of Persons with Disability. And we will make sure that all of these people get their opportunity to shine in the workplace. And so 24 years, it will be tomorrow, as we focus on this amazing journey of connecting people, of making sure that corporates look at every individual and see the potential that they have in them. And, basically create a world where everybody, regardless of their identity, has an equitable chance to thrive. Over the years, this Diversity Mahotsav has grown into more than just a gathering. It's really like a journey, and it's a big festival. It's a Mahotsav. So there are many conversations that happen here, many conversations that happen offline as well when people make those connections. And it's really about equipping all of you, leaders, innovators, creators, with all the tools, opportunities, the networks that you can use to claim your place in the world of work. Diversity Mahotsav is also about breaking stereotypes, both the visible and the invisible types. It's not just the obvious stereotypes where somebody is very open about their bias, but also those hidden biases, those very invisible biases, which kind of tell somebody, this is not for you. Or, well, I was not thinking of you when we were looking at this project, and those type of biases which hit hard. It's for us to be able to identify these biases, talk about them, bring everybody together on a platform like this, and really arrive at solutions which will help us see a far, far more committed approach towards inclusion. The series is amazing this year. And in the next 15 days, we have some fabulous podcasts, interviews, live sessions that are curated for you by LV and her team. We have the author, Sai Swarupa Iyer, From the Margins to Mainstream, Untold Stories of Epic Women from History. She's going to be talking to us. There's a topic dedicated to leveraging social media, especially by people who are underrepresented. There's a talk on how ERGs can be leveraged There is going to be a lot of other interesting stuff about fashion, about the role of Gen Zs in DI, what Gen Alphas are doing or what we can expect them to do, the importance of allies, and much, much more. It's basically amazing discovery that's going to happen. And I really hope that you utilize this Diversity Mahotsav to discover something more about yourself, about your strengths, and also about this amazing world of work which we all inhabit, and learning how to navigate that world with the power of your own identity. And I must take a moment here to share heartfelt thanks to our partners, EPAM Systems, our innovation and catalyst partner, our supporting partners, Bristle, Genesis, and Zuki Systems, and really everyone who's contributed content or who's contributed thought to this Diversity Mahotsav. And that includes the amazing team at Avatar, at My Avatar, who have been doing wonderful work in connecting a lot of underrepresented talent to organizations. And that is something that we are very, very proud of. We are very thrilled that we have this opportunity to be able to create careers for a very wide range of people. So all I will say now, as I welcome you to this 4th edition of Diversity Mahotsav, is your journey begins now. Please engage deeply. Please ask bold questions. Challenge closely held perspectives. And most importantly, just believe in the power of your own story. Warm welcome to each one of you, and thank you for being an amazing audience. Back to you, LV.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Soundarya. Absolutely energetic. That was absolutely an awesome energy setting for our 15-day celebration in the month of December. Thank you so much, Dr. Soundarya, for your warm welcome address. My dear audience, wasn't that absolutely great, energetic, and just bombastic, right? So, keeping the energy, the spirits on, we have with us a very renowned author, Sai Swarupa Iyer. Sai Swarupa currently works as an assistant professor at the School of Commerce and Management, Chanakya University. She teaches creative writing and artpreneurship. She's an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, and she is an investment professional turned into a satisfied writer. She is the author of some best-selling novels based on legendary female protagonists from the ancient Hindu literature. Her novel Avishi, which was based on Rigvedic hymn, has been acquired for screen adaptation by a major studio. She is also the recipient of Stree Shakti Award in the year 2022 by Sri Shankara TV for her contribution to the field of civilizational literature. Sai Swarupa is passionate about ancient history, which you will discover when you hear from her. She's passionate about philosophy, literature. In fact, she is the curator of the India Book Club, and she holds a certificate in Puranas from Oxford School of Hindu Studies. She is also a trained Carnatic music artist. She has received a gold medal from the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams. My dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear audience, we have with us in conversation with Sai Swarupa is our very own Janani Sampath, Senior Manager Marcom at Avatar Group. Let's hear it from the two amazing women whose pens are mightier than any sword. Over to you, Janani.
Welcome to this episode of Diversity Mahotsav, the 4th edition. Today we have with us Sai Swarupa Iyer. She currently works as an assistant professor at the School of Commerce and Management, Chanakya University, and she teaches creative writing and artpreneurship. An alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and an investment professional turned satisfied writer, Sai Swarupa is the best-selling author of 5 novels, all based on legendary female protagonists from ancient Hindu literature. Her second novel, Avishi, based on a Rig Vedic hymn, has been acquired for screen adaptation by a major studio. She is the recipient of Stree Shakti Award 2022 by Sri Shankara TV for her contribution to the field of civilized national literature. She is passionate about ancient Indian history, philosophy, and literature. She is a curator of Indic Book Club and holds a certificate in Puranas from Oxford School of Hindu Studies. Also trained in Carnatic classical music, she has received a gold medal from TTD. Today, she will talk to us on the topic From the Margins to Mainstream, Untold Stories of Epic Women from History. Welcome to this episode of Diversity Mahotsav, Sai Swarupa. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Janani. That was a very flattering introduction. Great to be here. Diversity Mahotsav seems like a really great name.
Yeah, it's a celebration of diversity, and who else but a
And
person like
that's
you?
what Bharat is all about. We are, I said, diversity is what our country Bharat is about, and that it makes so much sense that we celebrate it, we acknowledge it, we celebrate it. So happy to be here.
Our pleasure, and it's entirely ours. So I can't wait to have this conversation with you. Like I said, it's been many days since I've been wanting to have this chat with you. So let's start.
Mutual.
Thank you so much. So you hold an MBA from IIT Kharagpur and you have been a corporate professional. So how did writing happen? Was this serendipitous or planned?
I'd say a bit of serendipitous and a bit of maybe of destiny had that plan for me. May not, it wasn't planned by me. Maybe the gods above planned it. So what happened is this, I am an only child of my parents, but then I have a whole army of cousins. So in my childhood, whenever we used to meet up for a festival or some wedding or something like that, I used to gather these around me and tell them stories. That's how they used to stay out of the way of, other elders.
Oh,
So that kind of, it made me a storyteller since my childhood. And then, our generation, the academics take over everything,
absolutely.
goes into a pause. And but I guess the stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, and they just kept growing along with me. I kept reading. I used to keep reading so that I had something new to tell my cousins, and that kind of, kept on building and building. And someday, there was this a friend of mine who is a Muslim, by the way. And, we used to have these long conversations. In our bus journey back, it used to take about half an hour from my college, that PU college, to home. And she asked me, like, she was asking me about Deepavali basically, and about Naraka Chaturdashi. And so she asked me, why does Krishna have so many wives, and why do you love him? Why do you guys love him so much? And I told her about this whole story of Narakasura Vadha, and how Krishna had to marry so many women because they were held captive by Narakasura, and he had to give them a life of dignity. The story wasn't over with just killing Narakasura, right? So that's exactly why we love one of the reasons why we really really love Krishna. He sees beyond what others would have seen. And so that conversation ended. It seemed very natural because she's a Muslim. She hasn't grown up with these stories, and she having these doubts and asking is fine. Fast forward a couple of years down, I was in my engineering, and a couple of Hindu friends also had the same doubt. And that's when I felt something is not right. I mean, we don't know our own past the way we should be knowing. And especially Narakasura Vadha was close to my heart because at least in South India, we celebrate Satyabhama as, the woman who killed Narakasura. It's one of the stories of, women empowerment for us. But
that kind of made me wonder what would the story look like from the perspective of one of those women Krishna rescued. So, and that's how Abhaya came to be. She's a character I created and placed in, one of those women. And it was I never thought it would be a book, but
Mm-hmm.
I would always keep thinking because though it is into Itihasa and Purana, I would keep thinking history a lot. So I used to wonder what would be happening in the Mahabharata side of things when this incident is happening, because reconciling Bhagavata and Mahabharata is it's kind of tricky, right? We have to place.
True. True.
So that was, I mean, because it just took a lot of time because I never had a book, writing a story, and things like that in the mind. That's when I think finally I finished my MBA and started my job and hated it. And nothing about the company or the bosses. I've always had really very lovely bosses. But it's just that you just know this is not for you.
That's
So
that's a nice story to the stories that you write, actually. So, and you write books with these very strong women characters, right? So you're also building a robust feminist narrative that defies the common image of this masculine hero who is invincible and larger than life. How do you see this impacting readers as a writer?
think the strong feminine was always a part of our cultural consciousness. It's just that when stories became abridged, right, we started looking out for abridged version of stories. Most of this abridgment was done by men,
Mhm.
and hence they couldn't help it. It's not I don't think it's a very consciously
Done.
done thing, but it's there was a perspective missing when stories got shortened.
Mhm.
But you've heard of the story of Savitri.
Mhm. Mhm.
See, there are things where there are these places where we have to think for a moment to remember who their husband is.
Mhm.
Like, Savitri is more famous than her husband. And same about Anasuya.
Mhm.
So in past, I had to think for a moment Atri Mahamuni is her husband, but Anasuya is much more famous than her husband, right? And I think, if you are somebody following Shakta worship, Lopamudra is much
Mhm.
better known.
Yes.
She comes in the Lalita Sahasranama and all that, and then we think, oh yeah, Agastya is her husband. So we already have a culturally strong feminine undertones to our past. It's just that we need to revive that storytelling.
That's great, Sai Swarupa, because this question actually stems from something. So that's actually brilliant because the way you have gone about it, talking about the female undertones and the strong female characters who have always been metaphors in our stories. So, and that brings me to this question of some of these women you write about. Say, for example, like Draupadi.
Yes.
She initially grappled with a lack of power to make decisions for herself in Mahabharata. But however, she's a very, very pivotal figure in that story. So,
I don't think so. I mean, that she lacked power because I think a lot about Draupadi comes from novels, and we novelists are somewhere, we are propelled with some urge to add some creative stuff, emotional stuff. And I guess early novels about Draupadi, I don't want to take names of the authors because
sure,
each
sure.
of them have added a color and, to the whole creative renditions
Sure.
of Mahabharata. But somewhere, what happened with Draupadi, unfortunately, is there are two versions of her.
Mhm.
One is this very angry version which keeps shouting for revenge.
Mhm.
You just remember Draupadi as some woman baying for blood and revenge, and I won't kind of. And the other is this victim of patriarchy who never had an agency, and
Mhm.
she was neither.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know,
Okay. That's a
Vyasa's Mahabharata shows us that she was neither. Uh,
mm,
sh- so somewhere, I think this lack of agency thing comes from the way people think that she was forced to marry five brothers.
mm,
That was not what happened. So
okay.
Draupadi always had a strong voice. So if she did not like marrying these four brothers, these four other brothers, she would have spoken up for it. But yeah, so because I mean, strong women are nothing. Satyavati asked, ki, my son should be the, king, and that's her father. But she was very clear about what had to be done. Amba was very clear about what had to be done.
True, true.
Gandhari was very clear about how she would be. So we don't really have that submissive, no agency woman. I'm searching for her actually.
That's interesting because today, this asserting agency and decision making is a big thing. And for today's women, it's a part of empowerment. So you see these stories that you narrate also actually feeding and empowering real women. When they read these stories, they kind of reflect on, the challenges. See, it may not be the same kind of challenges or the same challenge at all, but the situations, the things that they had to undergo. So, do you see the way you present your characters influencing today's generation of women in any way? How do you see them influencing them?
One thing is, I guess, women of today or tomorrow, or maybe yesterday. Hope we don't have a control on yesterday, but I guess we need to assert the position of women, and very organically.
Mhm.
Right? What is happening is, I think our country went through a lot of financial crisis, economic crisis in the 60s, 70s, with all those, I don't know, social Marxist. I mean, I'm not a political analyst as such, but basically the development was really, really slow, right? And during early 60s to 80s period,
Mm.
even the government was not exactly encouraging that free market kind of. It
Mhm.
was very difficult to start a business. It was very difficult to. So, what happened is, because in that ensuing financial crisis, somehow women had to take a back step. And a lot of feminism of that generation we see is a reactionary anger to that scarcity,
Very well.
right?
Yes.
And I mean, you know how after the 90s, the way it changed for both the genders, right? I think, I find my generation of women, much happier, and more assertive. That's I think is more of an economic thing than a cultural thing. Because then go back to our grandparents' generation, grandmothers were always assertive,
True.
you know,
True. True.
really, really assertive, right? So that's, I think, somewhere we need to reclaim that space from in an organic way, in a natural way. It's not like we don't need the anger which is not ours. We don't need the reactionary aggression which is not
Very
ours.
Very well said. Very well said. Because this is, since we are talking about these
Mhm.
women in Hindu literature, historical women. So, what has been your most surprising experience or discovery while writing about them? Is there a particular moment in your writing journey that has deeply resonated with you? Come across something and you are like, wow, how did that happen? I'm like being so mind blown about it.
Interesting. You'd ask this question because we are just talking about Draupadi. I think my eureka moment happened during, as I was writing Draupadi
Mhm.
herself. So I think we are all aware of that Dyuta Sabha
Mhm.
Vastraharana scene of Draupadi, which happens.
Yes.
So now, one unfortunate thing about this incident, the incident itself is a really bad thing to have happened, and it's a shameful thing for a whole civilization. That's not supposed to happen that way, right? And but the way the popular culture has shown it, even the good movies, I'm not talking about the bad serials out there, but even the way the good movies have shown is they have totally put a lot of screen time on the Vastraharana, showing her, helplessness and maybe her devotion to Krishna, and the Krishna coming and doing that miracle, rather than the intellectual genius of Draupadi
Mhm.
in that. So when you read Vyasa's Mahabharata, you would see that this whole unfortunate series of events just happens too quickly before anybody could react. But once she regains, the way she silenced the whole Sabha, the way she builds dissent. So, if I do we have time, I'll just recount. So, Dushasana drags her, and the whole thing happens. And miraculously, Krishna is not mentioned in the critical edition of the Mahabharata. It says that as soon as a sari was, a garment was pulled off her, but another garment miraculously covered her, and that has to silence everybody because it's something totally unnatural, right? And so the Sabha, firstly, Sabha was disgusted. It's not like everybody were enjoying her plight. It was like they didn't expect this would happen. And unfortunately, it is Karna who was seen as some kind of a lower caste hero. He was celebrated, but he is the one who instigates this Vastra Harana. That was not in the plan of, in the scheme of things. So he's the one to instigate it, and Dushasana tries that, and all that happens. Uh, Once she recovers, Draupadi, the way she speaks is utter pure class. So she says, the way I was brought into the Sabha, I think, I won't comment about the Maryadas in this Sabha, but I'll not forget my culture and my place as the queen. She doesn't say queen, but as the queen. So basically, namaste to everyone elder than me, and blessings to everyone younger than me. So she kind of starts this way, and then she totally denounces the game of dice, and she does not criticize her husbands because she's somebody who keeps her head. She knows that because of her husbands she became an empress, and she's not going to let one bad day ruin it all, ruin the whole relationship, right? That way she had her head with her, when everybody lost theirs. So she really thought with her head. And then she finds out legal loopholes, and, points out, like, he lost himself. How is that a valid wager? And how everything happens. Then Vidura supports her. There are a couple of rishis who are supporting her. Vikarna, who is a Kaurava himself, he supports her from the. So she builds dissent. And finally, Dhritarashtra is so scared now that he says, Draupadi, tell me. I mean, forget everything. Whatever happened should not have happened. It's so unfortunate. You are my favorite daughter-in-law. Kuru Vamsha has done this punya, to get you as our daughter-in-law. All that, she a long, stotra for Draupadi he does, and asks her, okay, you tell me what to do. So that is, and she first asks for the freedom of Yudhishthira, the man who betrayed her. And, she has her reasons for that. And then she asks for the freedom of her other four husbands and their weapons. And then Dhritarashtra, he says, yeah, all that is taken, done, but you ask something for yourself. And then she says, I don't need to ask someone else for anything because my husbands are free and their weapons are
I'm taken care. So, yeah.
so it's like it's understood that they will fight for her. She didn't even want to have a discussion with them. So that's the so that was my wow moment of wow. I mean, she is actually a game changer.
True, true. And that's a very, very interesting anecdote. I'm not to claim that I'm a Mahabharata expert, but I wasn't aware of this part at all. So thank you so much for
No, not many of are aware because of that abridging
saying,
kind
yeah.
of way we are told, right?
As you said, it's always on the Chirharan. The disrobing part of it is what is highlighted. Yes.
And there's some song there and all that, and
Yeah. True, true. So, and also, Sai, when you talk about literature, as with any form of art as well, there is this chicken and egg situation that arises. We don't know if the reader creates the kind of authors, or the authors create the kind of readers, right? So, who is your category of reader? Whom do you think is your category of reader?
Okay, here is where I have to say, we plan and gods have some other plan for us. So, yeah, when I started about writing these books, I imagined, anyone would imagine that I have women as my audience. And I do have, many great women as my audience, as my readers, and I'm talking to one of them. Uh,
Oh, I'm going to now just pass out. Thank you so much.
So, a pleasant surprise for me was the number of men who read it and made their daughters read it, or gifted the books to their sisters. The sheer number of men wanting this kind of empowerment in women around them. So the most touching discovery was like realization was one of the. I think that review is there in the Goodreads as well. So one of the male readers, he said, now somehow if I hope I meet a girl with the name Abhaya, and if not, I'll name my daughter Abhaya.
That's so I don't
Oh.
think there can be a better response and the kind of reaction exactly what you would have wanted.
Yes, and that's about the genders. And then I thought like maybe it's young people, maybe 25 plus, 25 to 35 or 40, or maybe that would be. And there was a message I got from a 75 plus year old man. I mean, and that was a segment I was not at all expecting, because we tend to take a lot of creative liberties and stuff like that, and they are supposed to be a bit prudish and stuff like that. But a lot of senior citizen readers have given me so many words of encouragement, and that itself was a realization of how liberal we are as a society.
That's amazing because next is what I'm going to ask you is you did talk about, none of this has been planned, but
Mhm.
what do you think is the role of your books and how for in educating future generations about the real contributions of women in Hindu literature? So, how do you think this will transpire in the long run? What do you see will be the kind of change in the outlook or, in the way things are actually perceived about literature?
So first thing I hope is that all my books will make at least a small segment of my readers turn towards the unabridged editions of all these epics. If not end to end, I hope they'll go to their favorite section and start reading, because that's how my reading also started. I just did not start from Narayanam Namastubhyam, when I
Mhm.
so started reading Mahabharata. I think my favorite part of Mahabharata was Kiratarjuna.
Mhm.
Uh, I started reading there, then I went back and forth, and sometimes my research would end up, would make me end up at some a particular chapter, and it's very recently, like say, much. I think, yeah, while writing Draupadi is where I tried this end-to-end kind of reading for the first time. Before that it was all spotting where I had to do it, and and picking things from there, and so that's what I hope my books do. It's just to ignite that curiosity, right? And once the true curiosity is there, I think wisdom will find its way to the readers. And so it's not about emotional, because whenever I see a reaction or a response to any cultural phenomenon, which is purely driven by emotions,
Mhm.
it signals instability. Any First of all, reaction is the wrong thing. We have to give a response, and it has to be grounded in knowledge as well as perspective. So knowledge is eternal, it has been coming timelessly, and the perspective is something we need to have while appreciating modernity, right? Today we have, unfortunately, what we have a group of scholars who are really rooted, very knowledgeable, but they lack the perspective for the modernity. So, because modernity comes with its complex myriad kind of problems, and it's not something you can dismiss. So, we are living a modern life. So, we have to appreciate whatever it brings with it, and then only we can solve the modern problems with timeless wisdom. Right? And then there are these moderners, who believe that there was nothing worthwhile in the past and
Mhm. Mhm.
things like that. So, and this whatever conflict between both the sides, it often results in nothing worthwhile. So anything that comes that is useful for the society would be by people in the middle who have the knowledge of the past, who respect their past, who respect their ancestors, as well as who also appreciate, in the sense, I'm not saying admire, but who can really take a modern perspective.
That's amazing. So let's talk about your upcoming projects you're working on that will actually further expand the narrative of Indian women in history. And if you could share a bit about them, any book that you're
So the upcoming one, I have already submitted to the publisher. It's on this woman called, I should say, goddess Sanya Devi, or in Vedas she is known as Saranyu, who's the wife of Lord Surya. And there's this very interesting Puranic story about her being not able to face that radiance of her husband, and she creates a shadow version of herself and installs the shadow in her place while she does some tapasya or something. And then the family drama happens. So the shadow is Chaya Devi. And interestingly, of course, because Puranic tales as well as Vedic tales, they have a lot of riddles, and it needs a lot of contemplation on our side to see why this, why that, kind of thing. And for me, creatively, it was progression, I would say, because till now my writings have been trying to rationalize the Puranic events, and this is the first time I stepped into the actually divine realm. So, and I actually found it very freeing, because we have this, a lot of writers in my genre have this wrong notion that young readers don't like magic.
Okay.
Right? But the same young readers are reading Harry Potter and appreciating them, though Harry Potter is totally fictional. I think we are just bucketing the young readers, like, they like diversity to be.
What else can be said more impactfully during Diversity Mahotsav? Thanks for bringing that
Exactly.
thought up.
Exactly. So let's not bucket them into, oh, everything should be rational for them, everything should be, magical for them or something. So the way, just look at the stories the way they were and try to, re-narrate with without losing that charm that they always had, right? So that's my new step. And going forward, sometime I do feel I should explore masculine heroes also, yeah.
That will bring the
The
much
create
needed. Yeah, Sai. So that would also, those masculine heroes that you will explore will also bring about that much needed diversity you would look for in your portfolio of books, right? So that's great. So that brings me to the last question of this conversation, Sai. So you're among this category of writers who are part of this newly coined category called authorpreneurs. What is your advice for aspiring authorpreneurs? What are the
Okay.
do's and don'ts? What do you think they should do?
Oh, interesting, because I'm in the middle of writing this, short guide series for entrepreneurs. Just for the readers, I have 6 books lined up in this collection called Entrepreneur Collection. The first book was Write That Book. The next was Publish That Book, and I'm currently writing Sell That Book. So entrepreneur I don't know who coined this word. It's a cool word. I didn't, that I can say, but it's a coinage of author and entrepreneur. And entrepreneur is somebody, we know that, sees the end to end and owns the enterprise that he's heading, right? And so an author who takes ownership of the business side of books is an entrepreneur for me. So, this entrepreneur in my eyes would be ready to do certain marketing, ready to know the process of what happens after they submit the book to the publisher, or they choose to self-publish and, hit the publish button on, say, Amazon or, platforms like that. So, because I have seen a lot of young authors kind of disappointed too quickly because they expect to become, uh, you know,
An overnight sensation.
Exactly. And then they don't, and they get disappointed. And when they see other successful authors, they tend to feel cynical,
Mhm.
and get into this overt criticism. And that's an unhealthy, cycle for a creative person. A creative person needs to keep positivity
Mhm.
also. I'm trying to put it into this whole process of writing as a process, publishing as a process, selling and marketing also as a process. Sometimes it works on your first book or it may work on your fifth book. But an entrepreneur, in my view, always keeps creating.
Mhm. Amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sai Swarupa. Thank you for that conversation. And thank you for being so generous with your thoughts about. We discussed a wide range of things, even if we are talking about
Oh,
strong
I
female
totally enjoyed, every
female,
moment.
yeah, female characters in Hindu literature, but there is so much depth and so much of insight that you offered. And thank you so much for taking out this time and joining us on this inaugural day of Diversity Mahotsav. So much for all the insights and the dimensions that you offered in this conversation, and all the best for all your future endeavors. We wish to catch you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was lovely and great questions. And it was just a journey down, my own memory lane. I loved every moment of it. So, all the best to Diversity Mahotsav. And I'll wait to catch up with other great women that you'd be interviewing in this whole series. All the best, team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janani. Thank you so much, Sai Swarupa. I think we really picked up a few very, very cool things. Entrepreneurship, right? So, if you haven't heard of this term, entrepreneurship, as Sai Swarupa mentioned, it's something about an author who's also an entrepreneur who also does everything from the scratch to the finish, which means you write the book, you ensure it gets published, and then you also sell the book, right? So that's what Sai Swarupa was talking about, and I just loved each and every bit of the conversation that Janani you had with Sai Swarupa. Thank you so much, audience, for being absolutely a wonderful, wonderful audience. Just want to let you know that we have designed a dynamic lineup for the next 3 weeks, from panel discussions featuring trailblazers, breaking stereotypes, to workshops equipping you with skills to ace the workplace, and every moment is curated only to empower you. We will also hear from industry leaders who have not only reimagined inclusion but have also turned into action, proving that diverse voices lead to extraordinary outcomes. Thank you so much for wonderful participation. You have been absolutely wonderful. With this, we have kickstarted our December month celebration, the fourth edition of Diversity Mahotsav. Tomorrow, we have a very interesting session by Ujjwala Singhania, who embodies the spirit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And accessibility, actually. Her dual role showcases her exceptional skills and dedication to creating a more inclusive and equitable environment. Ujjwala is a managing consultant and she excels in refining business strategies, managing scope, cost, schedule, and deliverables. Her expertise lies in planning, tracking, change control, and risk management, which ensures that her clients' needs are met and exceed the business objectives. For her work, she has received several prestigious awards, which also includes the Culture Catalyst Growth Award for third quarter 2023 and a nomination for the Essentials Award in 2022 at IBM. She's going to be talking to us about leveraging ERGs effectively. My dear audience, as we move on, please do not forget our social media hashtags, which are hashtag diversity mahotsav, hashtag celebrating diversity. Do post your experience at diversity mahotsav on your SM handles with the hashtags. On behalf of Team Avatar, I thank each one of you and I welcome you to the next 14 days of Diversity Mahotsav. And don't forget, the QR code that is appearing on your screen leads to our YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. You will be able to watch all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes on our YouTube channel. Just in case you missed the saxophone rendition, or you missed Dr. Soundarya's address, or you missed the great conversation between Janani and Sai Swarupa, please log on to our YouTube channel by scanning the QR code, and you will be able to watch the episode. Please don't miss our myavatar.com, the website, which is India's only hiring portal. If you have not registered yourself already, please go to myavatar.com, which is myavatar.com, and register now for the immense possibilities. Explore workshops, explore the jobs, and please connect with all the inclusive employers that are there under the sun for you to engage with. Finally, as we draw the day close, I would like to thank our partners, our innovation catalyst, EPAM Systems, supporting sponsors, Crizzle, Genesis, and Zuchi Systems. Thank you so much for your support and belief in Diversity Mahotsav. Before we all log off, I would like you to take a quick poll. May I request the team to bring up the poll? It will just take a couple of minutes, I promise you, but please do provide your feedback on today's session. Give your feedback as short as possible. Please give your name, your organization, their designation, and do rate the overall session management on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. Please rate the speaker's ability to engage in today's session. So we had multiple speakers. You can rate all the speakers in one go. Rate all the speakers on a scale of 1 to 5, and 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. And also do rate the content that was shared, primarily the content that was shared in the last 60 minutes on a scale of 1 to 5, again 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. And do let us know if this session, if this 1 hour meet the expectations that you had. And if you do have any suggestions that you feel could have made the session better, please offer your suggestions. And finally, if you think there are any topics that you would like to hear from us in the future sessions, that could be in the next 14 days, please suggest the topics that you want to hear from us. Don't forget to visit myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. Do not forget to give your feedback. Your feedback is the return gift that you're all giving to us in the month of December, which is a celebratory month for us and you and everyone. Thank you so much. This is Lakshmi Vijay Kumar signing off as your host. Take care and stay safe till we meet again.